Okay, I know I'm doing this a little out of order, but floor number 20 was just such a fun cheese that I wanted to get this video out there. I'll do floors 14 through 19 in the next few days. So on this floor you're fighting Shadow Rose. You need to have one 4-star or higher knight. I'm using Fallen Cecilia for that. And you need to inflict weakness. And weakness happens when you provoke one of the summoned duplicates of Shadow Rose 4 times with either provoke or reverse provoke. And that's pretty easy with Fallen Cecilia because Fallen Cecilia has 100% provoke on her S1. Other than that, I built her normal, and I'll be honest with you, I did this the first time, and she didn't have a helmet on, and it still worked. I yielded when Shadow Rose had like 5% left. In fact, almost all of my units were missing gear. The only unit that was fully geared at the time was Diene. Dienne's going to be my healer. I put the CR push EE on her and gave her unfading memories to boost her healing power. She does not need to be this well built. She was never even close to being in trouble. My Kisei was missing a ring and an artifact when I won the first time. The reason for Kisei is this boss is not immune to skilled cooldowns, or skill turn reductions. So she's got an S3 that can remove 1 to 2 skill cooldowns from the opponent. She's also a great damage dealer, so I gave her the CR Push Artifact and Daydream Joker, which works at 50% power in this fight. Next, for the cheese, I'm bringing Lua, and the whole reason for Lua is the S3 skill has another skill cooldown. So the goal here is I'm going to try to never let Shadow Rose use any of her skills. And when I won that last fight, Lua didn't have a helmet, a ring, or armor on. So it's that easy to do it with this cheese. Last thing is Arky. You want to make sure you have Arky on your team because the boss is not immune to Arky's damage and you can use him to burst him down at the end. Not that you need it, it just speeds things up. So at the start, Shadow Rose does what will probably be one of her last S3s and puts an attack break on everybody. I'm just going to right out of the gate use the S2 or S3 skill and roll that skill cooldown 1, and there we go. One turn cooldown lowered. Now when you use a second non-attack skill, it makes the crystal counterattack, and it can stun you, which is a little annoying. It just slows things down, especially when you're trying to do those 4 provokes for weakness, and it keeps stunning your Fallen Cecilia. So I'm just using the S1 because there's no, the skill's already cooled all the way down, and I'm not sure we can push it into the negatives. I'm going to save the S2 so I can use it as a way to take an extra turn and get her S3 back faster. Even though every time you use 2 non-attack skills, the crystal counterattacks, I just didn't care. It really was not enough to matter with how ridiculous this team is. Kisei does pretty significant damage with all of her skills, so that's nice. There's a defense break on Lua's S1. Now she's got 2 points on her little red bar there by her face, so I'll use my S3. I got 1 turn reduction instead of 2, but still pushed her skills back, so she's still not going to S2 or S3 me anytime soon. There's that counter stun I was talking about when you use 2 non-attack skills in a row. Still not sticking the defense break, but I'll keep laying on some damage. Now one thing you do need to be careful about is the crystal doesn't really move unless Shadow Rose takes turns or uses her skills, so you might eventually have to let Shadow Rose use some skills so that the crystal can move and summon the duplicate version of her. But, get it down to the point where you could use 2 Arkies to kill, I think is a safe bet. Now, if you don't have Lua or Kisei built, you don't have to use either of them. In fact, just one of them would be enough to keep that skill cooldown at bay so that you don't have to deal with incoming ultimates from her through the majority of the fight. But having both of them, it's almost unfair. All she gets to do is her S1 attacks, which do have defense breaks on them, but debuffs aren't a big deal when you've got a strong cleanser like Diene. Now I eventually go ahead and let her build up her skills so that she can use her S2 and push the crystal up. So after this attack, her S2 should be ready, and that'll push the crystal to the front of the line, and the crystal gets to summon the duplicate Shadow Rose. And I needed to do that so that I could work on getting the 4 provokes into the duplicate. So now the name of the game is nailing the front Shadow Rose with 4 provokes. So I just have to cycle skills around until FCC is ready to use her S1. Now I don't know why I chose to use the S1 into Shadow Rose here instead of resetting the main Shadow Rose, but that's what I did. But anyway, there's the first provoke, and you saw the word trial appear above the original Shadow Rose. Now you do need to be careful about this. When you use non-attack skills, the crystal can counter, and it can stun, and it loves stunning your FCC, which slows this down. It doesn't change the outcome of the fight at all, it just wastes your time. Now you can use the S2 on Lua to put the first Shadow Rose to sleep, to buy a little extra time. This time I remembered to S3 the main Shadow Rose. Even though she's invincible, you can't do damage to her, the damage does transfer to the front Shadow Rose, and you can still roll her skills back. So I reduced her skill cooldown again to give me a little more time before she does her ultimate.
You who do know the terrors of the
now,
night.
You really kind of want to pay attention to
You really want your blood
to your Kisei, or to your Kisei, to your DN, and how many non-attack skills you've done, and maybe avoid healing unless it's absolutely necessary so that your FCC doesn't get stunned and you can get your provokes out. Once you nail 4 provokes in, you're good to go. So this should be, oh, I got one more turn here. Go ahead and roll the skills back. Oh wait, non-attack skill. I hope I don't get stunned. Ugh, that would have been embarrassing. Okay, there is the second provoke, trial number 2, so I need to do that 2 more times, and we are good to finish this fight off.
Enveloping light of the dawn.
You can call me Magical Girl D.
So I could S2 heal and cleanse those debuffs, but I'm just going to use the S1 because I don't want my FCC to get stunned. Her turn's coming up. So here's provoke number 3. No, here's getting 15%ed. That's lovely. So I'm good to use the S3 because even if FCC gets stunned, I'll lap around and I'll be able to use the S2. Oh, wait. I guess I miscounted, so I can't use the S2 now or I might get stunned. So I'm back to single target healing. You saw when I used the non-attack skill over top of the crystal, its proc message said light emission. When it says light emission times 2, that's when it counters. So here we got light emission times 2. There's the counter. It didn't stun me though, so I'm good to proceed. And this non-attack skill rolls skills back. There's light emission number 1, so I need to not use a non-attack skill until FCC can get her attack off.
Just follow my lead.
There's 3 provokes. I just need 1 more provoke and we will have the weakness effect and be able to put this fight to bed.
This will be the last moon.
Now, when this phase happened, when the second Shadow Rose was summoned, some words popped up on the screen and gave you very important information, but they flashed so fast you probably missed it. I used Arky here to try to burst down the damage a little bit because that Shadow Rose is tanky, but let me show you what these words said here.
You really want your
Soulburned attacks 3 times in a row, kills the summoned target. So I'm feeling a little embarrassed about that. I put all this effort into bursting damage down on that front Shadow Rose so I could kill it off when all I needed to do was Soulburn Kisei's S1 3 times and it would have died. I got the 3rd provoke off. You see the weakness icon, so we're good to proceed. And I do this the hard way by just slowly beating the front Shadow Rose down till it dies.
The shards of moonlight will fall.
Resetting the main Shadow Rose so that she can't use her S2s.
I'm not too
whatever the main Shadow Rose does, the copy Shadow Rose does as well. So if you let Shadow Rose do her S2, she'll jump in the air and put a defense break on a unit, and then the duplicate one will do the same thing. So another reason why it's great to keep shutting down those skills.
Hide from the light of the full moon.
Here I'm soul burning for damage, not because I realized I could do it 3 times. I didn't realize that note was there, what that note said, until I went to edit this video, so the cheese is great, but that's a little awkward.
You have no value to me. Disappear through the cracks of time and space. You really want your blood spilled? Since there's no getting
So
away
be
from it. Make peace and accept your fate.
In the name of the goddess.
That crystal just loves stunning my FCC. So this should kill. And now I have enough Archies to drop Archie twice and end the fight. That's kind of why I said maybe save enough souls to do 2 Archies. That way once you kill the Night Shadow Rose, you can drop 1 Archie and then drop the second one. And this should either kill or be very close. Okay, it was close, not quite there, but I think when Keys, especially with the jump in,
An eternal night will
and that's how you do it. I think this entire fight Shadow Rose got to use her skills maybe 2 times, and one of them I let her use them so that we could summon the ad. So this is a very, very easy way. Smilegate loves doing this. They love giving you a challenge abyss and making the final floor kind of a victory lap. Challenge Abyss 10 was like that. The Abyss 120 was like that. Abyss 110 was like that. It seems whenever they make a new set of Abyss, they always make the last floor kind of like a victory lap, make it an easy win for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was probably the most fun floor just because of how cheesy it was. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. And if you enjoyed the video series, make sure you like and give it a subscribe. I'll have floors numbers 14 through 19 up here very, very soon. I'm just covered up a bit with Ancient Inheritance right now. Oh yeah, and don't forget to jump back into the Abyss and collect your clear rewards on the left side. There's some 500 Mystics there, and maybe that'll get you one of the new MLs. Have a great week, guys. Take care.